Hospitals are not for sale.
Location.
All for Calgary.
Hospitals are not for sale.
We saw your video about buying hospitals. Check it out. We've got a great offer.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for everybody in Alberta.
Madam Premier, anything to say? Madam Premier? No?
I'm Associate for Rebel News on location with another AlbertaDecides.com update on this critical Alberta 2023 election. We're here for yet another United Conservative Party announcement. We've seen a series of these largely focused on issues like economy, jobs, taxes, but with this announcement taking place right across the street from Calgary's South Health Campus Hospital, very likely that the theme or topic for this announcement may be healthcare, but that's just speculation. Without further ado, we're going to head over and see what Premier Danielle Smith has to say.
Over the past 4 years, our United Conservative government has worked tirelessly to attract investment and jobs, build up our healthcare system, make our communities safer, and make life more affordable for all Albertans. And just last week, I announced the UCP's Alberta Job Growth and Diversification Strategy. This strategy will ensure Alberta's economy continues to grow, creates quality jobs, and attracts skilled workers and graduates. But while Alberta's economy booms, it seems like everything we need to live is getting more expensive. And while the inflation crisis has been hard on everyone, some have felt the effects more than others. For seniors who are often on fixed incomes, covering monthly expenses can be difficult, especially when inflation is high. When the price of everything goes up but your income doesn't, you can only tighten your belt so much. Every extra dollar you would need to cover the grocery or utility bills means less time to spend on other necessities and quality time with the people that you love. Our United Conservative government has understood the pressures that Alberta's seniors are facing, and we want to support you. That's why we launched the Affordability Action Plan in 2022 to provide real relief to thousands of Alberta seniors. That included $100 a month from January to June to help out with monthly bills. It included suspending the fuel tax, which we, a re-elected UCP government, will extend to the end of the year, saving drivers money every single time they fill up the tank. Also included $500 in electricity rebates when energy inflation was driving up bills, and permanent natural gas price protection for home heating. We have the opportunity to do more. That's why I was proud to sign a no tax hike guarantee, pledging that a re-elected UCP government will not raise personal or business taxes. And just last week, we announced a tax cut for all Albertans, including a new tax bracket and permanent indexation of personal income taxes.
Hospitals are not for sale.
Location.
All for Calgary.
Hospitals are not for sale.
We saw your video about buying hospitals. Check it out. We've got a great offer.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for everybody in Alberta.
Madam Premier, anything to say? Madam Premier? No? You had lots to say about this not so long ago. Madam Premier, hospital for sale? Anything?
Yeah, you had a whole show to talk about this.
We will not sell our arms and legs for hospitals. Hospitals should be public.
They're going to cost us an arm and a leg when you sell it, though, aren't they?
You've already privatized lab services.
Thanks, guys.
Radio silence, eh? That's all good.
Yeah.
We got all day.
Yeah, we're here for a quick hearing. It's all
It's time to go. It's not true. It's time to go. Let's go. How could she have the ability to answer if you don't leave and let her talk? So let's go.
We're right here. She can say anything that she wants.
The mic
press
person right there.
that we're having, and you're disrespecting everybody.
exactly.
We would love to hear what the Premier's got to
We
say.
are respecting Albertans.
Tune in.
She is not respecting Albertans.
It's time to go. Let's go.
Sir, please. Ma'am, we've got all day. Feel free to take a mic whenever you like.
Let's resume.
Actually, I have a medical appointment, so I would like you to answer before then. I hope that it's still public by the time I have it this afternoon. It's just like.
While the NDP issued a statement condemning these actions and protests, it certainly seems half-hearted when you consider the fact that they failed to acknowledge that one of these protesters was none other than former 2021 NDP candidate Patrick King, as well as another one of the individuals now being identified as self-proclaimed radical anarchist Aaron Doncaster. So there are clearly some ties and connections, despite this NDP disavowal, to the NDP. So I am now joined by a man who needs no introduction, Rebel's very own Alex Dhaliwal. I wanted to talk to you a little bit because you're one of the people who sort of experienced this firsthand. Rachel Notley spending a lot of time saying Danielle Smith is hiding from the media. what's your experience been like? Have you had any difficulty accessing UCP events? And what's your experience been like trying to get into or trying to ask questions at NDP events?
Well, I can tell you for a fact that the UCP have been forthwilling to take questions from all media, which is important. You know, it's important that they take questions from mainstream outlets as well as independent outlets so that Albertans can have a balanced discussion heading into the election on May 29th. As for the Rachel Notley NDP, I mean, what can I say? Are we even surprised that they won't even talk to media outlets that will actually ask them tough questions? I mean, for example, on April 17th, they had a press conference downtown Calgary about what they would do to revitalize the downtown core. And I was going to ask the NDP some questions about some of the controversial comments some of their candidates have said regarding the pro-defund the police movement. And we were alongside Keane Bexley of Counter Signal, escorted away from the press conference. And what I saw at a later date was at a later announcement where the NDP were talking about education funding should they form government. They wouldn't even take my question either because apparently they don't recognize us as media because we are not state-controlled media in which they can control the narrative. And, you know, it's important that our viewers and Albertans and Canadians as a whole just see just how much of an outrage this is, because if we don't have freedom of the press, if we don't have freedom of expression, how are we able to hold our politicians accountable? Yeah. And, you know, that's going to be important moving forward, as it has always been.
Yeah. You know, and the thing that's really shocking to me is I think we expect this. We see this with Justin Trudeau. We see this with the federal NDP. It's no shocker to see it at a provincial level with the NDP. But I think what's really shocking to me is just the audacity to come out on Twitter and say, no, I'll take questions from everybody, and then not take questions, and to accuse Premier Danielle Smith of hiding while she takes all of our questions. Sometimes we ask her very difficult questions. Adam Soos for Rebel News. First off, I just wanted to thank you and the UCP for your willingness to answer questions from all media outlets. It's not only the protesters who are providing semantics, the NDP are providing their share. Speaking of the NDP and some in the media, they seem hell-bent on turning this campaign into a tabloid-style American election where leaders' personalities, particularly yours, rather than the content of their party's policies are the primary focus. Why do you suspect that is?
I think the NDP don't have ideas. Everything I've seen, it's either gainsaying what we do, saying, oh, we'll do that too, we'll just do a little bit more, or it's re-announcing old policy announcements, or saying that they'll continue on with policies we've already passed. And if you want to continue with the UCP government, then you should vote for the UCP. So that is why I think that they simply have not, they don't have any positive ideas for the future. They don't have any creative ideas about how to address the needs of Albertans, whereas we do. We've announced a health care guarantee. We've announced a tax guarantee. We're going to make sure that no taxes can be increased for personal or corporate income tax without a referendum. We've announced an 8% tax bracket now so that we can benefit our lowest income Albertans the most, but all families up to $1,500.
And it doesn't matter if it's the NDP or the UCP. We're going to ask tough but fair questions either way. What do you make of that sort of audacity to just proclaim the opposite of what you're doing in a very Trudeau fashion?
Well, you know, here's the thing. They know that they can consistently get away with the sort of doublespeak, what you will. And they know that they will have the support of unions in this province. They will have support of, unfortunately, students as well. So those who are perhaps a little bit more on the younger side, regardless of what the UCP do to correct any misinformation and disinformation, you know, two terms that are popularly used by the political left, nothing we say to correct that will change their mind. So it is important that we, you know, regardless of whether the NDP will take our questions, that we have our presence felt and, you know, be respectful, of course, even if the respect is not returned in our favor.
Alex Dollywell, Rebel News. Should the UCP secure re-election on May 29th, could the party look at extending the fuel tax suspension until the end of 2024, given the Bank of Canada has said inflation will continue to be a problem well into 2025, and given the federal government will increase the carbon tax another $15 next April?
You know, we want to gauge it on the basis of what our oil and gas prices are doing, because part of the reason for the fuel tax reprieve was that as prices are high, it means that we get more revenues, which gives us the revenue that we need to be able to offset an increase in cost. If prices go down, it means that there'll be some moderation on that. We wanted to make sure at least people knew the certainty from now until the end of the year. And if we're reelected, we've already demonstrated that we're prepared to act quickly if we feel that there's an affordability issue that needs to be gauged. So we'd make that decision at that time.
Well, many in attendance, as I mentioned, given that we're right across from the South Health campus here, expected a healthcare-related announcement, including some protesters who crashed the event. That is not what the announcement was, in fact, about. It was about a series of cost-saving measures, relatively small ones, but cost-saving measures, 25% discounts for seniors accessing a number of registry services, as well as camping in the province. It was very interesting to see, however, the NDP likely NDP supporter protesters who showed up did seem to awaken something in Danielle Smith. She seemed a little more emboldened in her speech. She addressed a number of issues, including city council here in Calgary and Mayor Jyoti Gontek, pushing back on her efforts to ensure that safety and rule of law persists within the city and right across Alberta. She also made adamantly clear, once again, calling the NDP's declarations that people will pay to see doctors in this province flat out lies. She ensured that that would absolutely never happen. And she also took my question on why the NDP continuously and ceaselessly efforts to make this campaign about her personality rather than about core policy issues. We're going to continue to follow all of these election stops with our team as part of our AlbertaDecides.com coverage, so be sure to check in there regularly. And always, I want to thank you for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Sos. To ensure that you don't miss any of our in-depth analysis of this critical election, I'm encouraging you to check in regularly at AlbertaDecides.com. If you're also inclined to support our independent journalism and to keep us with boots on the ground covering this election, you can do so by chipping in there.